I hadn't even turned off the ignition when it began. A piercing voice sliced through the morning air like a fire alarm. "Hey, you can't park here!" I froze, hand still on the gear shift, looking out through the dusty windshield of my service truck. The neighborhood was one of those manicured suburban grids, identical lawns, matching mailboxes, and residents who probably filed noise complaints if a bird chirped too loud. But this voice, it had authority, fury, and pure Karen energy. I turned my head, and there she was, a woman in her 50s, blonde bob perfectly angled, clutching a coffee mug that said, "Boss Lady," storming down her driveway like she owned the entire block. Her expression screamed one thing: how dare I exist on her curb? "Ma'am," I started, trying to keep my tone calm, "I'm with County Electrical Services. There's a power issue in—" "Don't give me that!" she snapped, pointing at my truck. "You people think you can just park wherever you want. This is private property." I blinked. My truck wasn't even in her driveway. It was half on the street, half on the edge of the curb, parked exactly where the GPS marked the power fault. But she wasn't interested in logic. She was revving up for a full-blown scene. "Ma'am, there's a power line issue affecting this block," I explained again. "I'm here to fix it before the transformers blow." Her eyes widened with suspicion. "Nice try. I know you're kind. You just park here to go have breakfast somewhere, don't you?" At that moment, a loud crackle echoed above us. Sparks jumped from the power pole across the street, and the faint smell of burning insulation filled the air. My instincts kicked in. I grabbed my helmet and tools from the back. Karen, however, wasn't done. "Don't touch that pole. That's city property. You'll get arrested." I couldn't help but smirk. "Exactly. That's why they sent me, ma'am." She stood there, arms crossed, glaring daggers at me while I climbed up to inspect the line. But then something changed. Her porch light flickered, and her garage door started opening and closing by itself. Her face went pale. "What's happening to my house?" she gasped. I climbed down slowly, met her eyes, and said, "Exactly what I came here to prevent." Her confidence melted away, replaced by shock. For the first time, she didn't have a comeback. And that's when she realized maybe she'd picked the wrong guy to scream at. The next few seconds felt like a scene from a disaster movie. A snap echoed through the street, sharp, violent, and a shower of sparks rained down from the line above Karen's front yard. Her scream could have shattered glass. "Oh my God, it's on fire! Someone call 911. I dropped my tool bag and ran toward the base of the pole. The transformer on the corner was humming like an angry hornet. "Stay back!" I shouted, waving her away. "It's just a short, but if it grounds out, your house wiring could fry." Karen didn't hear me, or maybe she just didn't care. She was pacing in circles, clutching her phone. "I told you not to touch anything. This is what happens when random people start climbing poles. Random people." That one stung a little. 10 years in the electrical field, dozens of emergency repairs. And now, I was just some guy trespassing in Karenville. I yanked open the junction box, sparks hissing at my gloves. The internal line had corroded. Years of moisture had eaten through the insulation. No wonder the grid sensor sent an alert. If I hadn't arrived, half this street could have gone dark by noon. Karen darted closer, still on the phone. "Yes, there's a man here. He says he's fixing power. But he's climbing a pole outside my house. No, I don't think he's a real worker. He's wearing some kind of uniform, but wait! He's touching wires. He could blow up the neighborhood." I took a deep breath and tried to ignore her as I rewired the clamp. "Lady, if you keep yelling while I'm grounding this circuit, you're going to distract me, and then maybe something really will blow up." That shut her up for about 5 seconds. Then came a flash, bright, white, loud. The entire street flickered off, then back on again. I felt the jolt through my boots, but I held steady. One twist, one clamp, and the current stabilized. Karen's eyes darted from me to her house, where every light flickered back to normal. The garage door stopped spazzing. The alarm stopped screaming. She stood frozen. You did that?" I nodded, brushing soot off my gloves. "That's what I was trying to do before you called the cavalry." Her voice softened just a bit. So, you're actually fixing it? I smiled faintly. That's literally my job. For the first time, she didn't look angry. She looked embarrassed. But knowing Karen's, the storm wasn't over yet. Not even close. Because when she saw the utility truck pull up behind me, her next words nearly made me laugh out loud. The roar of the approaching utility truck broke the silence. Its yellow lights flashed as it rolled to a stop behind my service van. The logo on the side, County Electrical Services, matched. The one embroidered on my jacket. You'd think that would settle it, right? Not for Karen. Her eyes lit up like she'd just spotted reinforcements. Finally. Someone in charge! She cried, marching straight toward the supervisor before he even got out of the cab. The man stepped down. Tom, my field supervisor. Big guy, calm face, clipboard in hand. He barely had time to introduce himself before Karen started her performance. Sir, thank goodness you're here. This man, she pointed at me dramatically, has been tampering with the power lines. He nearly blew up my house. You need to have him arrested immediately. Tom blinked, glancing from her to me. You mean Johnson, my lead technician? Her face faltered. You're what? He nodded. The guy you're yelling at is the reason your house isn't a bonfire right now. Karen's mouth opened, closed, and opened again, like a fish out of water. Well, how was I supposed to know that? He didn't have a proper badge, and he was parked in front of my hydrangeas. Tom raised an eyebrow. You mean the public curb? The tension was thick enough to cut with wire cutters. I couldn't help but bite back a grin as Tom motioned for me to continue my inspection. He turned to Karen. Ma'am, we received a fault alert from this address. My technician was dispatched to fix your power line before it caused an outage. Her tone shifted from outrage to something almost pitiful. Oh, well, I was just making sure he wasn't one of those. You know, fake workers, Tom smirked. The fake workers usually don't carry. 10,000 volts through a live line, ma'am? That one hit her. She turned away, muttering something about not being told, and shuffled toward her porch, pretending to check her mailbox. But the neighborhood wasn't done. Watching, the whole scene had drawn a small audience. A few neighbors peeked through curtains, and one even whispered, That's Karen again. I finished up the line repair, testing the voltage. Everything was back to normal. Tom clapped me on the shoulder. Nice save, Johnson. Let's wrap this up before she decides to call corporate, too. Karen looked back, trying to reclaim her dignity. Well, thank you for, fixing it. Next time, maybe just let people know before you show up? I smiled politely. Sure thing, ma'am. I'll make sure to send a written invitation next time the power line catches fire. Her glare returned, but softer this time. She didn't have a comeback. Still, the day wasn't over. Because as I packed my tools, I noticed something strange, something else buzzing near her. Property that definitely wasn't supposed to be. As I coiled up the last of my cables, a faint hum caught my attention. It wasn't coming from the pole anymore. It was coming from the side of Karen's house. A low, irregular buzz, like electricity trying to find a way out. I frowned. Tom, you hear that? He paused mid-note on his clipboard and tilted his head. Yeah, that's not grid current. Sounds like a short on the secondary line. Karen, who had been pretending to water her plants just to eavesdrop, perked up instantly. What now? What are you two talking about? I followed the noise toward the side panel of her garage. A small junction box was trembling. The paint around it darkened with heat. I knelt beside it, unscrewed the panel, and froze. Inside was a tangled mess of extension cords, adapters, and what looked like an illegal generator hookup. I glanced at Karen. Ma'am, did you or anyone in your home try to connect a generator directly to the power line? She blinked. Well, yes. During last year's blackout, my nephew said I could just hook it up right there, so we'd have lights. It worked fine, Tom groaned, rubbing his forehead. That's not just unsafe, it's illegal. You could have electrocuted a line worker if we'd switched the grid live while this was connected. Karen's jaw dropped. Wait, you mean I could have killed someone? I nodded solemnly. If the current reversed back into the line? Easily? Her face went pale, and for once, she didn't have a single word to say. The reality hit her harder than any argument could have. We spent the next 20 minutes safely disconnecting the jury-rigged setup. When I was done, I handed her a small yellow tag. Warning: unauthorized electrical connection. She stared at it, guilt written all over her face. I didn't know. I just thought my nephew knew what he was doing. I sighed. You're not the first, ma'am. But please, next time, call someone licensed before you fix anything. For a long moment, Karen just stood there. Then, to my surprise, she looked me dead in the eye and said softly, I'm sorry I yelled at you earlier. I thought you were some random guy. I guess I was wrong. I gave a small grin. That's okay. Most people think that. Until the lights go out. Tom chuckled as we climbed into the truck. Behind us, Karen stood quietly by her mailbox, staring at the repaired power line like it was a miracle. As we drove away, Tom glanced at me and smirked. Think she'll remember your name now? I laughed. Oh, definitely. She'll probably tell everyone about the time she yelled at the guy who saved her house. The neighborhood faded in the rearview mirror, calm and bright again. And for once, even the queen of complaints herself, Karen, had been completely short-circuited. Enjoying these wild HOA Karen stories? Hit that subscribe button so you don't miss the next drama. Straight from the neighborhood. Drop a like if you've ever had a Karen moment on your street, and tell me in the comments, what would you have done in this situation?